Namaskar devotees. As you all know, today we have assembled here for the Archana Sharma Memorial Lecture. Along with that, we have a special function regarding the release of the book written by the speaker himself, Dr. Satish Kumar Kapoor. With him, we have on the stage Srimad Swami Suparnanandaji Maharaj, Secretary to the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, and Srimad Swami Tattvavidanandaji Maharaj, Adhyaksha of the Ramakrishna Mission Advaita Ashrama. We will move forward to the program with the Vedic chanting of the monks and brahmacharis of the Ramakrishna order. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemaksha Viryajatraha Sthirairangaye Sushtuvagam Svastanuvihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vidhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastyaksho Arishtanemi Swasti no Vrihaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Now the part of felicitation. I request Srimad Swami Tattvavidanandaji Maharaj to felicitate today's speaker, Dr. Satish Kumar Kapoor. Now I would like to request Srimad Swami Shuddhanandaji Maharaj to please come up on the stage, who is also the editor of this book, to felicitate Srimad Swami Suparnanandaji Maharaj and Swami Tattvavidanandaji Maharaj. Now the release of the book written by Dr. Satish Kumar Kapoor, Hinduism, the Faith Eternal, by Srimad Swami Tattvavidanandaji Maharaj along with Srimad Swami Suparnanandaji Maharaj. I would like to request both of them to release the book formally. And also the writer Dr. Satish Kumar Kapoor. Today, this book will be available outside the Vivekananda Hall with an additional discount of 25%. Now, I would like to request Swami Suparnanandaji Maharaj to give the address of welcome and also to read out the short biography of late Professor Archana Sharma.
Om Jananing Sharadang Deving Ramo Krishnang Jagat Gurum Padapatmitayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmu. A hearty welcome to Professor Dr. Satish K. Kapoor, my hearty love and regards to Swami Tattvavidanandaji, the president of the Advaita Ashram, dear Swamijis, Brahmachari, dear audience. It's a privilege for us to be here to listen to a beautiful speaker, Dr. Satish Kapoor, on a theme which we all need to know. Without any question, we need to know of our faith. The faith we have inherited at the time of our birth. Hinduism, the eternal faith, it has to be known by us, and here a person who has devoted his life to understanding this great fact in life is with us to make us understand what Hinduism is all about. Though we have been born Hindus, we do not know what we have to do as Hindus. We do not profess this faith. We have just inherited. And that is the root cause of the plight. We have to know it in greater detail from him. He is here only for this purpose. And we have tagged this book release occasion to Archana Sharma Memorial Lecture. The reason is obvious. A scholar like him could not be found out everywhere and every time. When this book written by him was decided to be published from this institute, we then and there decided that let this be an occasion for us to listen to him on the very theme on which he has written the book. That's why we have made this juxtaposition or tagged this two incidents. So before going to say something about the book or the theme, I just let you know something about the author. Dr. Satish Kumar Kapoor is a scholar, educationist, historian, and a writer on the subject of religion. So his discipline has been history, you see, but he has developed keen interest in so many other subjects other than his own. A Punjab University gold medalist and record holder in history. So just see what sort of man he is now, sitting before us. An ex-British Council scholar at School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London. He has, to his credit, 7 books, 20 chapters in scholarly works, and about 400 articles and book reviews. He was Associate Subject Editor, Area 2, and Substance Editor of Encyclopedia of Hinduism, a project of India Heritage Research Foundation, USA, to which he contributed 50 entries, 50 articles, mind that. He also contributed to Encyclopedia of Sikhism, Volume 4, published by Punjab University, Patiala. The Press Information Bureau, Government of India, commissioned him to write special articles on historic occasions like 50 years of Indian independence in 1997 published, and the Khalsa Tercentenary published in 1999. He has broadcast and telecast more than 200 programs on historical, cultural and religious themes, and prepared scripts for radio, TV, features and documentaries. Dr. Kapoor won accolades like State Level Republic Day Function Award 2005, conferred by Punjab Governor Shahid Rajpal DAB Literary Award 2009, bestowed by ex-Governor of Karnataka, Chaturbedi, Soham Smarakam Award 2010 for Best Contribution in Prose to Bhavan's Journal, Mumbai. A former principal of Lalpur Khalsa College, Jalandhar, Punjab, local secretary, Dayanand Institutions, Solapur, Maharashtra, being run by DAV College, Managing Committee, New Delhi, and a registrar of DAV University, Jalandhar. Dr. Kapoor remains engaged in academic and spiritual pursuits. So this is all about the author. As I have been telling you, Hinduism is really a menace to us because it is compared to a forest. There being no root. Once you are inside, you cannot get out because there is no path leading you to get out of that forest. You may lose your track. Even you have very difficult to entry. It is so vast, and It is so useful because of its vastness. It gives us infinite degrees of freedom. You can choose this way, you can choose that faith, you can choose that sect, you can choose. Alternatives are available, infinite alternatives are available. Even so many say God men are coming up, preaching their philosophy, own philosophy, all within Hinduism, and claiming their superiority over the previous ones, acting as gurus, this and that, and devotees regard them as Istam, getting mantram, this and that. So there are innumerable sects coming up. And people from, or the devotees or the aspirants from the, say, from among the householders, they are realizing the inner truth, the divine nature of themselves. That's why it is called eternal. It makes us eternal. It is not necessary even that you have to take up a Gerua robe. There are many people living, many maybe among you, who have been blessed with such experience. So it is so fresh because it is lived by innumerable people professing that faith very seriously. There is no founder, no single book, no single way of life, no single God, no single prophet. It cares all, and even those who deny it. It is like our noble mother. If the children deny the mother does not take exception to that. Mother's love flows uninterrupted. This is our faith. People born of Hindu parents are Hindus, be they atheists, agnostics, blasphemous. Such heretics are neither punished nor humiliated, but just ignored. This is happening every day. We ignore them. It is not a question of toleration. We ignore them. In case they repent and relent, they have every chance of redeeming themselves. And this religion of ours, this faith of ours, does not convert. There is no proselytization. We do not increase the number of Hindus through conversion. Hindus are to be born of Hindu parents. This is not so with other faiths. It is idolatry in the beginning. Then it passes through so many stages till we reach the highest Advaita. Why? From body to mind, from mind to spirit, from Jagrut to Sapno, from Sapno to Susupti. A staircase-like argument for the aspirants. So that's why we say it offers freedom. And it is not fatalism. We mistakenly feel that we are all fatalists. Never. Karma and rebirth, it preaches. We are the creator of our own faith. We reap the results ourselves. We take up karma and we get the result therefrom. That's it. Unfortunately, most of us feel that, Our Sanatana Dharma has given birth to casteism. No, never. It's a social arrangement, preparing the aspirant step by step. Not only that, it protects the weak. It protects the weak. All are to be Brahmins, but those who are not Brahmins, they are not being asked to take up the Brahminical ideals. That is it. That is the beauty of it. So they have to prepare themselves to become the Brahmins. That is the highest ideal. That's why this caste system is there. It is a social arrangement for the protection of the weak. And we do not take it very seriously that we are all divine beings. But Swamiji has given us this idea very much. We are all divine beings. We feel that we are all human beings, but Swamiji says that no, you are all divine beings. That's why we go to the temple. We worship the divine, to become like the prophet, to become like the god and the goddess. If they are divine, then we are also. As Advaita says, we are one with them, so they are divine, we are divine. That's it. Even the Dvaitavadins, they will have to feel that they are all divine beings. We have so many sects. We have so many sects, innumerable sects. But they all mingle in Advaita. That is it. So in short, these are the things that we have all inherited. Maybe we do not consciously know, but they are working silently. In us. And when we look for spiritual illumination, we have to accept all the ways prescribed, all the ways simultaneously for the harmonious development of our faculties. We have no right to neglect the bhakti aspect in us, the jnana aspect, the contemplative or meditative aspect of yoga, and obviously the heroic aspect of karma or activity, very much heroic in us. We have no right to neglect any faculty. We have to take them along and develop in us proportionately all these faculties and be at peace. That's it. But Swamiji has said, you have to. Swamiji has said you have to combine all these faculties, all these paths in a harmonious way. But if you can live perfectly well with one or two or three, there's no harm. But for development of all them in a balanced way is a good one, because balanced development of faculties calls for balanced diet. It is only for the balanced diet. Balanced diet is necessary for physical growth, balancing of all these faculties is necessary for harmonious development of personality. That is it. Anyway, I have spoken for long. That's why I feel guilty, and now I have to read out the great life of Archana Sharma, Dr. Archana Sharma, because this lecture is dedicated to our memory. Professor or Mrs. Archana Sharma, daughter of Professor N.P. Mukherjee, was born on 16 February 1932 in Pune and had her early education in Rajasthan. She joined for her studies at the Department of Botany, University of Calcutta, and obtained MSc in 1951, PhD in 1955, and DSc 1960. She had a brilliant academic career throughout and was the second lady to have secured DSc degree from the University of Calcutta. Professor Sharma joined the faculty of the University of Calcutta in 1967 and became Professor of Genetics in the year 1972 in the Center for Advanced Study in Cell and Chromosome Research and head of the Department of Botany in the year 1980. Professor Archana Sharma's principal research contribution was in the area of cytogenetics and environmental mutagenesis, covering both the plant and human systems. A passionate teacher and dedicated researcher, Professor Sharma had developed newer staining and pre-treatment techniques for studying chromosome structure that are applied throughout the world. Her other research studies relate to induction of division in adult nuclei and cause of polyteny in differentiated tissue in plants, cytotaxonomic investigation on flowering plants, assessment of chromosomal and genetical polymorphism in normal human populations in eastern India and their comparison with pathological conditions, assessments of genotoxic and clustogenic activity of environmental agents in subtoxic doses in exposed populations in relation to different modifying factors like diet, genetic predisposition, drugs, etc., and use of dietary factors and plant products in modulating the cytotoxicity of known pollutants, metals, and pesticides. Professor Archana Sharma trained a large band of researchers in the area of cytogenetics, human genetics, and environmental mutagenesis. Supervised the PhD work of over 50 students and published over 350 research and review papers. She also wrote a number of books singly and also jointly with Professor Arun Kumar Sharma, her husband, which were published by well-known national and international publishers like Butterworths and Harwood Academic Publishers, UK, Oxford, and IBH, India, Kluwer Academic, Netherlands, etc. Just before her death, she finished editing Plant Genome, Biodiversity, and Evolution, Volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, from 2003 to 2008, jointly with Professor E.K. Sharma, published by Science Publishers, Enfield, USA. She was one of the founder editors of the journal The Nucleus, which has recently been taken over by Springer and is running into its 52 volumes, or 52nd volume, sorry. Professor Archana Sharma was recognized by several learned and professional societies and was conferred with the fellowship of all three science academies of India and was elected General President of Indian Science Congress Association 1986-87. She was awarded the coveted Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize 1976 by CSIR, J.C. Bose Award 1974 and National Lecturer 1980 by UGC, FICCI Award 1983, Birbal Sahni Medal 1984 by the Indian Botanical Society, Platinum Jubilee Lecture 1989 and Ashutosh Mukherjee Medal 1999 by the Indian Science Congress Association and India's Civilian Honor Padma Bhushan 1984. In her death, the scientific community has lost not only a great scientist but also a great teacher. She was a highly religious person and initiated in the Sri Ramakrishna order by Swami Shankarananda, the then president of the mission. She was a strong believer of human and cultural values and proponent of true scientific traditions and ethics in professional life. She leaves behind a band of followers to cherish her memories. This memorial lecture was created with the donation of money by her husband, Dr. A.K. Sharma. A.K. Sharma, he is not here. He is with us. Today, Dr. Satish Kumar Kapoor, noted academician and writer, will deliver the Archana Sharma Memorial Lecture. He will speak in English on Hinduism, the faith eternal. I just invite Professor Kapoor to give his oration. Thank you.
Esteemed Swami Tattvavedananda Ji, esteemed Swami Suparnananda Ji, esteemed Swami Shyotidananda Ji, and all the monks of Ramakrishna Order and Mission who are here, brothers and sisters of Kolkata. It's a great pleasure and a privilege for me to speak to such a galaxy of enlightened people assembled in this hall. The subject is such which frankly cannot be defined, cannot be explained to the full. It can only be felt and experienced. It cannot be defined because definitions constrict, definitions circumscribe, and what is circumscribed cannot be complete, cannot be free, cannot go beyond a certain dimension. Yet Hinduism, which is timeless and also within time, has to be explained in some way, catching a few glimpses from here and there, trying to know a little about what the ancient tradition is, what the holy religion is, what Sanatan Dharma is, and why it's relevant even to this day. You're all enlightened people, and you all know that India had to undergo one political crisis after another. It had to face foreign hordes. It had to face people who proselytized at the point of sword or by some such methods which you can call cultured. But despite all these attacks, all these machinations, all these setbacks, Hinduism lives. Rather, it is the religion of the future if humanity is to survive. Hinduism has meant different people to different people. It has had a number of definitions through the course of history. Its earliest name is Sanatan Dharam, and I must say that it is Dharam. To begin with, it is Dharam. And Dharam has to be understood in its right perspective. Then it is Sanatan, it is eternal. And this has to be taken in an adjectival sense rather than in the sense of a noun. It's a different matter that in the 19th century it got a new perspective in the form of a noun when the Arya Samaj was formulated in 1875 by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. The Swamiji belonged to Gujarat and established his Arya Samaj in 1875 in Mumbai and 2 years later in Punjab. And you all know that he had his own philosophy, his own ideology, his own way of looking at things. So starting with the first thing, that Hinduism is a dharma, and dharma cannot have a name. Defining Hinduism is like defining the 5 elements of nature. Just as you cannot measure the earth to the full, you cannot just measure the volume of water all over the earth or even beyond. You cannot have the gravity of other 5 elements existing right in front of us. You cannot measure space. Likewise, Hinduism cannot be defined, cannot come into any such definition. All Hindus have their own view of their own religion. And those who are not Hindus have also their views. And the views keep changing. But when it comes to dharma, it does not change. It is permanent, it is eternal, it is the central law of life. It is the central concept of Hinduism. It is duty, it is righteousness, it is divine law. It is much more than that. Because dharma is at the root of what we know as Sanatan Dharam. It is the quintessential element of what we now know as Hinduism. And the Samanya Dharam, which is to be distinguished from a Swadharam, obviously rests on those 10 principles mentioned in the Manusmriti. Dhriti, Kshama, Damo, Asteyam, Shocham, Indriya, Nigraha, Dhir, Vidya, Satyam, Akrodho, Dashkam, Dharam, Lakshanam. These 10 principles. And it's a great thing. Dhi is Dharya, Kshama is forgiveness, Dam is control of mind, self-control, Asteyam, which is non-stealing, Dhriti, Kshama, Damo, Asteyam, Shocham is hygiene, which is being stressed and emphasized nowadays, even by the present government. Dhir Vidya, Dhi is Buddhi, and Vidya is true knowledge, wisdom. Satyam is the truth. Akrodh, non-angerness. These are the 10 formulations of dharma. These are the things which make Hinduism move and go. as people have been adhering to these principles of righteousness, they have been doing such wonderful things in almost all walks of life. You see, Hindus have contributed in almost all spheres of activity. There's not a single domain in which the Hindus did not contribute. Whether it was the concept of zero, whether it was mathematics, decimal system, whether it was architecture, it was engineering, it was dietetics, it was physical exercise, obviously not yoga, just one form of yoga. There's not a single thing to which the people belonging to this dharma, the people adhering to this dharma, did not contribute. And Hinduism is eternal because it is based on Satya and Rit. Satya is the truth and Rit is the cosmic order. And as Swami Vivekananda rightly observed, that Hinduism does not rest on persons but on principles, as Swamiji was also pointing out. When we talk about persons may have their limitations. They may change from time to time. They may go from bad to worse or worse to good. But when something comes down to principles, principles don't alter, principles don't change, provided they have some connection with the cosmic order. If they are rooted in the truth. In comparison, I shouldn't say that if the historical aspect of some of the religions is considered, you take away the prophet from Christianity and what remains? You take away the prophet from Islam and what remains? You may take the gurus from a certain religion and what remains? You may take Baha'u'llah from Baha'ism and what remains? But in Hinduism there are 33 million gods as per popular belief, although there are only 33 mentioned in the Vedas. Even if all those gods, even if all those incarnations of God are removed from Hinduism, Hinduism will live. Therein lies its greatness. Therein lies the quintessential element which has given it longevity. Hinduism is surviving and it will survive. It's a different matter that these days we have critics in academics, critics in politics, critics in many other spheres of life, critics in the sphere of scholars of comparative religion, who just talk about caste, who just talk about untouchability, some superstitions, and consider all that to be the Hindu way of life, which is not. Coming back to the same thing again, this is Sanatan Dharma. Our rishis and munis, they did not give all these principles a specific name because they were for all time. They were in the past, they are in the present, and they are going to live in the future, because that is the substratum of existence. The rhythm is the substratum of existence. Without the cosmic order, nothing happens. The sun shines, the moon shines, weathers change, seasons come and go, many more things happen. It is all a part of the cosmic order. And we are no different. That is what the Hindu sages told us. Our body is a part of the cosmic body. Our mind is a part of the cosmic mind. Our consciousness is a part of the cosmic consciousness. So this is one order. This is one unit. In Hinduism, we do not want that sort of melange of ideas which would mix up and create a problem. We believe in differentiation. As Swamiji was just pointing out on the stage, that we can choose our own path. And that path can be in terms of our mental disposition, our mental training, our likings and dislikings. One can go in and follow the path of devotion, which is Bhakti Yoga, or realize God through knowledge, that is Jnana Yoga. Try to control the fluctuations of the human mind and be a Raj Yogi with all following all those 8 principles, or be a man of action and become a Karam Yogi. One can choose the path of one's choice, given one's capabilities, given one's mental proclivities, given one's tastes, and given the circumstances in which one is placed. This is something that you do not find in many other faiths, although all faiths, they are just the roads that ultimately lead to the one. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. But then there must be a way which is the right way. There must be a way which is the final way. There must be a way which is the ultimate way. And that way has its roots in the internal nature of man. It is the internal nature of a man that makes him like or dislike one thing or the other, or hate or not hate some other thing. It is the inner nature. Inner nature is a part of outer nature. But what we do is to concentrate only on outer nature in a regimented fashion, whether it's an educational institution, whether it's a social structure, whether it is something else. We just go by way of regimentation. We sometimes don't use our mind. We sometimes don't realize what we are. And therein lies a great concept of Hinduism, that man is divine. Never forget the glory of human nature. As Swami Vivekananda rightly said, we are the greatest God that ever was or ever will be. Christs and Buddhas are just waves on the boundless ocean, which I am. And on another occasion he said that it doesn't matter if Hazrat Muhammad Sahab or Christ, they were good or great. They were great, okay. But does it affect our own greatness? Do we become great by going through their lives, by following their ideals? Can we do that? Yes, it is possible, because in Hinduism, anybody can become divine. There is no restriction. There is no one prophet. There is no one central organization to control everything. There is nothing of that, no set principles. Each can not only choose his path, he can also choose many more things on the way and ultimately reach perfection. That is what the goal of Hinduism is, to reach perfection, to attain to the realized state. A common man will just go on a pilgrimage, and through that pilgrimage he'll try to realize, because he cannot read or understand scriptures, or he has no time for all this. Another man, an intellectual, he can follow the path of Jnana Yoga and move from one scripture to another, think sometime in a cynical way, sometime in a sarcastical way, or just ignore the vital lessons contained in the scriptures, or may even raise objections. But ultimately, Hinduism being the quest for the ultimate reality, all those paths, they have the same goal. Everyone is moving on that path. And that path is one's own chosen path, decided by our family, our society, our coming through the Varnashram Paddhati or something of that sort. We also have few more insights on Hinduism. But before that, let me tell you that some people believe that even the very word Hinduism is a misnomer. It's a misnomer because it has come to us from the Persians. It has come to us from the Greeks. The Greeks called the Hindus Indoi. The Britishers later called the Hindus Jintus. And they say that since the word S was pronounced as H, or as sometime we hear from Sanskrit scholars that Skar becomes Hakar, Sa is pronounced as H. So the word Sindhu becomes Hindu. There are so many controversies even relating to its origin, because Hinduism is said to be the religion of the Aryans, the faith of the Aryans. Whether the Aryans came from Central Asia or they came from Tibet or they belong to the Punjab or they came from Austria, there are so many opinions. Western scholars have always tried to show that Aryans came from outside. Present day facts and present day researches in the field of science and archaeology, they have definitely shown that the Aryans belong to this very land. That theory that has been debunked, the theory of the Aryan invasion of India. Why all this is important is that some communities with specific political objectives feel that Aryans also came from outside and we also came from outside, though at a much later date. So if the Aryans have a right on this piece of land, we too have a right. Both are outsiders. One came earlier, the other came later. And all that has been taught in history textbooks for the last many years, from the time when I was a student to present times, by historians through textbooks published by top publishers including NCERT, what we see is that the Aryans came from outside. Then they defeated the Dravidians. So the Aryan-Dravidian cultural divide, they create and ultimately say that this religion doesn't have its roots. It is not indigenous. This fact needs to be understood because this is a sacred land, the Punya Bhumi as Swami Vivekananda called it. And this is a land which I should say that hundreds and thousands of schools of thought have grown. But all those schools of thoughts were focused only on one thing, the ultimate reality. Whether they were atheists or agnostics or theists or henotheists, polytheists or monotheists, whatever term or name you give them, in fact, they were all speculating on the ultimate reality. Those who could find it, they thought differently. Those who couldn't find it, they became skeptics or iconoclastic. The roots of Hindu Dharma, they lay in the Vedas. The Vedas, as Swami Vivekananda rightly pointed out at the World Congress of Religions on 19 September 1893, Vedas are not a set of books. The word Ved has its origin, has its root in Vid. Vid means to know. And that knowledge which came through the rishis became the Ved, the divine knowledge, the divine revelation. We do not say that the Vedas were written. They were never written. All of you would definitely ask, how is it that there is a book, there is a set of books and it is not written? The Vedic rishis, they perceived the mantras, they perceived the hymns, they saw the hymns. They were drashta, not karta. They saw the sacred hymns, coming through the firmament of their mind, getting back to the spiritual or cosmic firmament. And that is what became Ved. The Veds, they are not the written word, they are the divine words that became manifest to the rishis who saw those mantras, saw those specks of light, got those wonderful spiritual nuggets which have survived to this day. When Henry David Thoreau read the Vedas, he said that going through one hymn, one verse, makes me understand the reality, the truth, and it is worth the entire material possession that I have. Such is the quality of the Vedas. But you will be surprised that before Swami Vivekananda went abroad, bearing some few intellectuals like Ralph W. Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Amos Bronson Alcott, Margaret Mead, and a few more, enlightened people who were interested in Oriental literature, because that was the age of Orientalism, you could say, 19th century. People thought that Hindus were like a fiendish race. They were barbarians, they were rustic, with innumerable deities. They were fools, worshipping the serpents, worshipping the plants and trees, and doing such nonsensical things which would make anybody laugh. But when the British Indologists of 18th century, which included Holwell, John Zephany Holwell, Brassey Halhed, Alexander Doe, Charles Wilkins, and Sir William Jones, who came here to Calcutta and did a lot of work. When those British Indologists proved that the earlier perceptions of Hinduism were wrong, some intellectuals started probing into the mysteries of Hinduism and tried to define it, redefine it. When I was talking to you about Dharam, I perhaps missed one point, that Dharam has its root in the word Dhri. Dhri means to uphold the cosmos, to uphold the universe. Dharam is that which upholds. It's a great thing. And Dharam is not religion that one needs to understand. Because there can be many religions, but there is only one Dharam. Religions can divide, and they have been doing so, but Dharma unites. Dharma has that integrative element in it, which lasts, which continues, which was, is, and shall be. Now, all these Orientalists, they tried to redefine Hinduism in the light of Dharma, in the light of the basic principles. Some of them learned Sanskrit from the Pandits. Pandits in those days would not impart the, language of the gods to foreigners, to Firangis. But somehow they learned Sanskrit, they studied the scriptures, they interpreted philosophical texts, and the result was that there was a flood of literature in most parts of the world where people started feeling that Hinduism was not barbaric and Hinduism was not the religion of the primitive people, but it was a religion which could be called ennobling. They felt that it could raise one's consciousness to a higher level. 19th century finally became known for the great contribution of Swami Vivekananda, the disciple of the greatest, I should say, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. I remember as a student at SOAS, when I once heard my examiner Percival Spear, the writer of the Oxford History of Modern India. In that book he writes that if Ram Mohan was the mind, Dayananda the physical arm, Sri Ramakrishna was the soul of modern India. You can very well realize that a foreigner, a Firangi, the word that we used in denigration for those people, calling Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa the soul of modern India, although he was a Bengali, but his spirit had traveled all through India and created a new renaissance. That was the period when Reformation was going on, as it happens in most of the living traditions, and especially something which happens and which has happened with the Hindu tradition is that if there were wrong points, there were right people to counter them. If something insignificant happened, there were people who could prove that it is significant and it should not be ignored. As a result of certain British policies, the rise of the new middle classes, the birth of new means of transport and communication, the proselytizing activities of Christian missionaries, there came a renaissance. That renaissance defined what Hinduism is today. In medieval times, Hinduism was defined by different sects. It was defined by Vaishnavas in a different way, by Shaivs, and Shaivs too had their own denominations. There were Pashupats, there were Kalmuks, there were Veer Shaivs, there were Pratyabhigs of the Kashmir Shaivism school, there was Kram and Kaul schools, there was the Trika school, all belonging to the Shaiv group, and the Shakts also, which are very popular in Bengal and in many other parts of India. It was defined by them. Their methods of worship, their philosophy, their ethics, their solution to metaphysical riddles, their answers to eschatological questions. That is what defined Hinduism in some respects. And before that, there were the Vaishnav schools of Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya, Vallabhacharya, Chaitanya, Meera, and many more, which tried to put things in their own perspective. Much before that, Adi Shankaracharya, who can really be called a Renaissance man, who brought about, rather welded different communities and different religious orders under the Advaita Vedanta doctrine. But times change, and with the changing times, change the perceptions of people. As long as the personality is there, the ideas are alive. But after a few centuries, the ideas remain, but the spirit behind those ideas, that gets off. And this is what happened in India. I'm telling you all this because I told you right in the beginning that Hinduism has been defined in different ways. And we are just talking about those puissant souls who realized and put things in their own way. You have the followers of Dvait, Vishishta Dvait and Advait. You had monists and you had the dualists in Madhvacharya, and you had many more people through the course of history. That was the medieval period. But with the dawn of modernity, the arrival of Swami Vivekananda ji on the scene, and his great guru, the guru of humanity, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans, a new approach to religion, a new approach to Hinduism was developed. And under that umbrella came most of the people. I have yet to come across a person of, a member of a group different from Ramakrishna Mission who has a word of criticism against Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans or Swami Vivekananda, because they all accept their universality. They all accept their greatness. They all accept their contribution. Even then, these members of the Arya Samaj, they have good words, rather praiseworthy words about Ramakrishna Mission and Swami Vivekananda. The glow would have ended, things would have changed if there was no organization. But since the organization was made, and that was made right in the times of Swami Vivekananda ji, and it was further developed later, you can definitely say that the real meaning of religion, the real meaning of Hinduism has fast come before the people. And what is the real meaning? As I said, Hinduism is a quest for the divine. And Swami Vivekananda rightly observed that man is divine, and this divinity has to be realized in some way, either by external nature or internal nature, through books, through rituals, or anything of that sort, because rituals are not to be rejected, worship is not to be rejected. You just cannot find out God in an abstract way. Very few can do that. For the Sakar God, I mean God with an image, it is very easy to identify. But with the Nirakar, from Nirakar to Sakar, that is the journey. And that is why the concepts of image worship, they have come to be recognized in India and abroad, because Swami Vivekananda, in his lecture in his paper on Hinduism on 19th September, had very clearly pointed out that what you call as idolatry is not that. Image worship exists even amongst Catholics, even amongst Muslims, because when they do sajda, they obviously bow. And in that habit of bowing, they are doing something which others are doing. So for ordinary persons, this may be the first stage. Just as a person who does not know how to swim needs the help of a bladder to get into the sea or to the river. But once he learns how to swim, he does not need those symbols. Swamiji used to say that it is good to be born in a church, but bad to die there. Why I am referring to this aspect is the fact that the monotheistic religions, they had this superiority complex that we, the people belonging to Semitic religions, we are superior, and these are idolaters in Asia. Swami Vivekananda proved right at the platform of the parliament that image worship had a psychological and a scientific basis. Because what you think, you become. You have the picture of Lord Hanuman before you and you feel strength. You have the picture of Devi before you and you have that feeling of Shakti. You have the picture of a Buddha before you and that feeling of peace dawns. So this is the law of association. This has been a vital point, which was used to criticize or denigrate Hinduism in one respect. There was another aspect which is now no more relevant, that is the aspect of caste in Hinduism. It was usually believed that Hinduism and caste are synonymous. But I have written in this book that you do not find caste in the sense of inequality in any of the 4 Vedas, in the 4 Upvedas, in the 18 Purans, in many other Sthal Purans and minor Purans. And you don't have the word even in the Dharma Shastras. Even what is being projected through the Manusmriti is not true, because it is either taken out of context or it is presented in some such way that the thing becomes an evil or looks to be an evil. We also need to know that not only our scriptures do not talk about inequality, our scriptures, they speak of the divinity of human beings, divinity in human beings. And you must know this fact, and perhaps you already know that even people belonging to the low castes, they had risen to the position of the Brahmins, and they were worshipped. Take for example the case of the Chokha Mela, of Narhari, of Ravidas ji, of many more Warkari saints and other saints. They were accepted and revered by the people. And even the Brahmin saints of those days, even the use of the word saint is inappropriate because it has a Catholic connotation. The sons of those times, they would accept anybody as their disciple, having a look at his Shraddha. If somebody had faith, he would be accepted and given lessons in spirituality. Hinduism is in fact spirituality. It is the unfoldment of spirituality in man. It is the unfoldment of perfection in man. It is unfoldment of whatever is good in man, and man includes woman. Because in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad it is very clearly said that God was one and he divided himself into 2, man and woman. We call a woman Ardhangani. She's Sahadharmani, Sahacharini. Never before, or you could say that you do not find any religion, any religious book where you have the sacred hymns penned by women. There were 29 women contributors to the Vedas. Even amongst the Alvars, Vaishnav saints, and Nayanars, Shaiv saints, you have women all over. If you go to the Warkaris, or if you go to the other sects of Maharashtra, Mahanubhav for example, you would find that discrimination against women did not prevail. Personal differences, personal things keep on going nowadays. But whether all these things have a Shastric approval? Manu Maharaj says, Yatra Naryastu Pujante Ramante Tatra Devta. In those days, when things were not that safe, when there were no roads, when people would live in forests, obviously women had to be confined to the homes. And since it was an agricultural society, it was not expected of a woman to take to the field and leave the chores in the household. Scholars sometimes do not understand, and they denigrate Hinduism by saying that Manu wanted women to be, remain in a somewhat cloistered position all the time, in youth, at the time of birth, and when she grows old, she has to be subjected to men. That sort of, phrases, they are taken out and they are misinterpreted. In this book, I have tried to prove that the actual, the real, the Shastrokta status of women has been very good. In the Vedas, and subsequently in the later literature, you find that women were given position of eminence. whether it is the period of the Guptas or the Mauryas or the later period. Only when there were foreign marauders, evils like infanticide, because the birth of a daughter was becoming a liability, and sometimes some Rajput clans would, throw their daughter from a top so that she would die, because they would subsequently not be able to look to the agony of their own kin. Likewise, the custom of sati or the custom of parda, there is a small article on parda, also parda in Hinduism. All those things really prove that whether it was the spiritual field or it was the home or some other major field where women could contribute, women did contribute. Another aspect which comes to my mind is the Hindu concept of the reverence for life. We consider everything to be sacred. We worship even snakes. We have festivals. We have Gugga Navami. We have one Panchami dedicated to the snakes. We have the concept of 5 types of yajna, because yajna is not just putting oblations into the fire. One of the oblations is Bali Vaishudev Yajna, where you feed the insects, where you feed all those creatures who cannot earn their livelihood or get something of that sort. They need to be fed. There is Nri Yajna, where you feed human beings. There is the Dev Yajna. I mean, you feed the spirits, you feed the plants, you feed the guests, you feed those creatures who are helpless, and ultimately you do your duty to society, to existence, to humanity as a whole. The Vedas never looked at the world in a way where one would be different from the other. It is this unique concept which crystallized in Advait Vedanta and was first put by Adi Shankaracharya ji, and subsequently towards the end of the 19th century by Swami Vivekananda. The unity of existence that led to a reverence for life, that we see life in everything. We are very careful about so many things that move, and even we worship the things that do not move. We worship mountains. We just cannot be dubbed as nature worshippers. Why do we talk about ecological problem nowadays? Because man was cut off from nature. Man was cut off from creatures of nature. But if you go to the ancient times and read what the scriptures say, you would find that it is all one. There is a common spirit, a common thread running through all existence. And if it is a common spirit, it has to be taken care of. There are not less than, there is one Bhumi Sukt, perhaps in a Atharvaveda, and there are hymns that refer to water and refer to other natural elements, primeval elements. Because if you pollute those elements, if you become careless about those elements, then there is going to be chaos, and this is what is happening. Whether it is global warming, whether it is some other kind of pollution, whether it is the dearth of drinking water, whether there are natural calamities, tsunamis are coming, they were not heard before. There are earthquakes. All this is happening because we have moved away from our axis. We have moved away from the path of the rishis. Without going further into the details, I would like to say that Hinduism has its relevance. If you are confused, you are bewildered, you are restless, what you need to do is to meditate. And meditation, it has been accepted all over the world in one form or another. Yoga, to have the body in order, the mind in order, and the spirit in order, the samanvaya of mind, body, and soul, you need to do yoga. Following those principles which the Vedic seers laid down, getting up early in the morning, taking bath, doing swadhyaya, puja, sadhana for mental balance, and then becoming a karma yogi throughout the day. That also is fast becoming acceptable. The sort of damage which is being done by the chemical drugs, it can be countered only by herbology or science of Ayurveda. The rich literature that we have on herbs, that is proving useful to Western scientists. Although they are taking out extracts and selling them, at exorbitant price, the fact remains that whether it is tulsi, holy basil, or neem, margosa, or it is people, ficus category of trees, it is palash, even the rudraksh which is being used for hypertension, and many more plants and trees which have come to us from our Vedic heritage. That is the way to holistic health, following Ayurveda. Coming to agriculture, you see that one medicine or one spray is done and it does not work, and the insects keep growing, and then you have to follow the ancient ways, and it has been scientifically proved and books have come how to preserve seeds, how to grow crops, in which season, at what time, all those things which are mentioned in our scriptures directly or indirectly. Many more such aspects that relate to science. Our present day physicists, they are turning back to Advaita Vedanta. They are turning back to the Sankhya. Remember Nikola Tesla meeting Swami Vivekananda. And from Nikola Tesla to Fritjof of Capra, to Oppenheimer, and many more, Schrödinger, and many more scientists who have come to feel that the Indian heritage has value for all time, for mankind. So in the end, I feel that Hinduism as a way, view, vision of life, it has to be accepted. It has to be accepted because Hinduism is not communal, it is not sectarian, it is not insular, it is universal. It is not time bound, it is beyond time. And something which is beyond time and something which belongs to humanity, that precious heritage has to be preserved. And Hinduism is not just in the dress you wear, in what you eat, in what you do. Hinduism is in realization, and that realization is not just going deep into the recesses of your soul, but by becoming a karma yogi like Swami Vivekananda, and by doing things which can transform society, transform the world. Because Vivekananda once even said that you must have a strong body, and you may even play football and read the Gita later on. So physical strength, physical prowess, the prowess of mind, goaded by the language of the spirit, that is the need of the time, and that is the message of Hinduism. Thank you.
Our sincere thanks to Dr. Kapoor. Now may I request Swami Tattva Vidananda Ji Maharaj to deliver his presidential address.
Oh
Jananing Saradang Devim Ramakrishnang Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayashritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu Namah Shri Atirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharini. Respected Dr. Satish Kapoor ji, most revered Swami Suparnananda ji Maharaj, the secretary of this institute, respected monks and brahmacharis of the Ramakrishna order, respected audience and respected devotees. First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Kapoor ji for his Hinduism, the faith eternal, both in the form of the book and through his speech. He has wonderfully presented the faith, the Hindu religion, and he has reminded us that it is actually dharma. Though we call it religion, Hinduism, but actually it is dharma. And here I am reminded of the definition of dharma which is given in the Mahabharata, as Kapoorji briefly indicated, Dharanat dharma ityahu dharma dharayate prajaha. So that which upholds, holds us, that alone is dharma. So what actually holds us? It is actually the Spirit. It is actually the Supreme Lord who alone holds us. And because He is the source of all energy, because He is the source of all goodness, source of our human emancipation, so we must take refuge in Him. We must take refuge in dharma. And here I am reminded of the famous verse of the Mahabharata Savitri, available in the Mahabharata. Where Yudhishthira says, Urdavahur viramyesha namang shinoti kaschana dharmad arthascha kamascha sakimartham na sevyate. With sadness in his heart, Yudhishthira says, with my hands up, raising my hands, I clamor, beroaming, but unfortunately, there is none to pay heed to me, listen to me. He says, Dharmad arthascha kamascha. It is the dharma which is the source of wealth. It is the source of all the objects of pleasures people long for. But unfortunately, that is not taken care of. So Dr. Kapoorji has beautifully, of course in a brief manner, surveyed the entire gamut of Hinduism its growth and development in different stages. A faith, a religion is called dharma. And here our topic on which Kapoor ji has beautifully deliberated is faith eternal. A faith is eternal in the sense that it is continuing from the time immemorial, and it will continue till the end of the cycle. This is what generally we understand by the word eternality. But there is yet another shade of meaning of this word eternal. It denotes that it has no limitations. Something that is eternal is beyond all limitations, temporal or spatial. So how a faith can be eternal? A religion can be eternal. A religion can be eternal because it has the eternal Godhead to deal with. And because of that, religion is eternal. Hindu Dharma is eternal because it centers around Supreme God, Supreme Lord. According to Hinduism, God is the material and efficient cause both. Something very strange. What is material can never be the efficient cause. A potter produces a pot out of the clay, which is the material cause. But he can never be the material. But Hinduism teaches the Supreme Godhead as both the material and efficient cause. Because he is the Lord of the Maya, which is the material cause of this universe, out of which the universe evolves, comes into existence. And because the Maya is insentient, God activates it, as it were. And Maya creates this universe. It is prompted into action by the Supreme Lord, Ishvara. And he interpenetrates. Very strange idea available in our Upanishadic literature. Tat srishtva tadevanu prabhishat. The potter who produces the pot, the efficient cause, never interpenetrates the pot. He is always away from the pot. But here, Hinduism, our ancient seers, has posited this theory of Ishvara, where we find that he is both material and efficient cause. He is the efficient cause, nimitta karana, as the conscious principle. As the potter is the conscious being, sentient being, he can produce a pot. So Ishvara creates this universe as the conscious principle, but he enters the universe because he is all-pervading. And he penetrates this universe as spirit, as consciousness. And the entire universe appears on Ishvara, the substratum, the locus, without which there cannot be any appearance. So Hinduism teaches that God is both immanent and transcendent, He is both with qualities and non-qualified, with attributes and without attributes, a unique concept available in the Hinduism. So because Ishvara is one with all, as consciousness is one with all, and what is called material is actually an appearance. It is not true. And that eternal God is infinitely compassionate, because He is one with all, as Kathopanishad rightly says, Tasmin lokah shritas sarve tadunatyeti kaschana. And they cite the example of the wheel of a cart. All the spokes of the cart wheel are fixed on the center of the wheel. And further, this Rishi says, Tadunatyeti kaschana. None has the capacity to transcend Him. So, He is one with the creation, and therefore He is infinitely compassionate. Take the example of Jagai and Madhai, despicable rogues. But though he was profusely bleeding, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because of the pelting of the pot shreds on his head, but he had all compassion to give them shelter. Take the example of Girish Chandra Ghosh. He did all debauchery, but Sri Ramakrishna showed endless indulgence to him, saved him, and the sinner turned into a saint. So Hinduism deals with the eternal Ishvara. It is eternal faith because of this. Another important feature of Hinduism is this, as it is clearly pointed out by Manu in his Manu Samhita, Yas tarke nanusandhatte sadharmang veda netaraha. It is the logical reasoning which matters most in the case of religion. If there is no logical reasoning behind all those theories, doctrines, religious doctrines, then it will be simply bigotry, prejudice, sectarianism. So Hinduism is saved because there is beautiful logic, philosophy behind all the theories and doctrines. But at the same time, Hinduism teaches the religious aspect as well. If religion is without any philosophy, it will turn into sectarianism, bigotry, prejudice. And if there is no religion, no achara, as it is said rightly, achara paramo dharma, no theorizing will do. We have to do some practices, religious, spiritual practices, so that we can reach the highest goal of life. So Hinduism says, if there is no achara, if there is no practical aspect of philosophy, or rather religion, then religion will be an attitude, an ivory tower attitude of dry intellectualism. So Hinduism is saved from all these two. So I should not take much time. I should congratulate once again Dr. Kapoorji for authoring this beautiful book. And most striking feature of this book is the references, the copious references which he has made at the end of each chapter. And it adds value to this book. Our Shastra says, Lakshana Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhi. Simply making a claim is not enough. Putting a theory is not enough. If we succeed in citing evidence, then alone it will be acceptable. Simply Lakshana or a definition, a description is not enough. It could be fictitious, it could be imaginary. But if it is proved by some evidences, then it is readily acceptable to us. So we find in his book, beautiful book, he has cited copious references from the Vedas, from our traditional Sanskrit scriptures. And these are all put in transliterated form. Of course, here I must admit there are a few mistakes in diacritical marks. So we hope to rectify those mistakes in the next edition. So I once again congratulate the author and my respects to all of you present here. Thank you.
Now at the last, may I request Srimad Swami Shuddhidanandaji Maharaj, who is also the editor of this book, to please come on the stage and deliver the vote of thanks.
Dear friends, it gives me great pleasure proposing this vote of thanks, mainly for two reasons. Firstly, I feel very privileged standing here to be a part of this program, which we have gone through 3 very illuminating lectures, speeches. And secondly, I also feel great joy to state one fact, that I was privileged to be a part of the production of this book as an editor, and in the course of which it was a great experience to once again delve deep into this wonderful subject called Hinduism, which is a subject which is extremely dear to all of us. We all know that. Usually, it is not the practice in Advaita Ashram for us to hold such a meeting to release any book. Usually what happens is, when we get a manuscript, we work upon it, we edit, we do the proofreading job, and we design the layout, we design the cover, and after the book is ready, straight away it hits the counter. We don't hold any such meeting where we formally release a book. But this time, in case of this book, we have taken an exception for one very important reason. And that reason is the extreme importance of this subject. Now, how important this subject is, I need not further go into it. Already we have heard wonderful 3 talks. But one thing I would like to point out before I really thank all of you and leave the stage, and that is how important the subject of Hinduism is for the future. One sentence which has really touched the chord of my heart is what Satish Kapoor ji has mentioned, that Hinduism is the religion of the future if humanity has to survive. This is a very vital point. Why Hinduism is the religion of the future? You see, if you look into the interreligious attitudes existing in the society, you will find that there are three important attitudes by which one religion looks upon the other religion. The first attitude is the attitude of exclusivism. Exclusivism. What do I mean by exclusivism? If I am an exclusivist, my attitude will be that my religion alone is true and all the other religions are false. My prophet, my book, that alone is true and all other prophets and all other books are false. Now, if you look into the history of religions for last 2000 years, you can see one point very clearly. Barring Hinduism, all the other religions of the world, whether it is Christianity, whether it is Islam, whether it is Judaism, they all have been harboring this attitude of exclusivism. They all have been trying to spread their religion on the face of the earth by destroying other religions. Now, the second attitude is the attitude of inclusivism, which means the other religions are not true, but the followers of other religion, they also will attain salvation, but that salvation is going to come in and through my religion. In a way, we can say it is like something like exclusivistic attitude made a little liberal, that's all. So this is the second attitude. And the third attitude is the attitude of pluralism, where the main standpoint is all the religions are true and all the religions are like so many different pathways towards the same Godhead. Now, the most interesting point to be noted, why Satish Kapoor says that Hinduism is the religion of the future, if at all humanity has to survive. If you go back into the history, when did this Sapta Sindhu culture start? We have, actually speaking, no idea. Historians have not been able to exactly pinpoint the point of origin of this great civilization, a civilization which Kapoorji has pointed out that it is not something which has come from outside. The Aryan invasion theory has been debunked now. Today we don't believe in that. Unfortunately, that is the thing which is being taught in our schools. Our children grow up with that idea. Anyway, the historians have not been in a position to exactly state when this great Vedic civilization started. And if you just look into the oldest existing book of the world, the Vedas, what is the standpoint that we find there? There we find this great dictum coming. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. Truth is one, but that one truth is being called upon by different names, and to that we can add the same truth can be approached in so many ways. This pluralistic attitude has been the recurring theme in our culture and civilization. So if you just see, for Hinduism, rather let me call this as Sanatana Dharma, as pointed out by all our Swamis and Satish Kapoorji. In our Sanatana Dharma teaching, this is the central point. Today our society is divided very badly from the communal standpoint, and we all know the cause of tension and the rift and tension which is supposedly increasing for several reasons, political and social, unfortunate reasons. So that's why, if at all our society has to exist in peace and harmony, it is this pluralistic teaching of Hinduism which is going to save the day. The society is going to be saved by this pluralistic ideology of Hinduism, which doesn't say that other religions are not to exist. It says all the religions are true, therefore no conversions are needed. All the religions will exist, as a part of a already existing universal religion. Swami Vivekananda has very explicitly spoken about the existence of an universal religion. It is not that we are going to bring about or invent a new universal religion. That religion is already existing, only it needs to be recognized. And this, call it Hinduism or Islam or Christianity or Judaism or Zoroastrianism or any of these religions, these are all just parts of that one already existing universal religion. So that is a very important factor to be considered when we talk about Hinduism, because Hinduism is the only religion which openly professes. Just 2 months back, I had an occasion to participate in an interfaith meeting where the representatives of Muslim community was there, Christianity, they also were there, Sikhism was there, and other religions also were there. I could note one point. None of them could openly and boldly say that all the religions are equally true. I was the only person, as a representative of Hinduism, I could boldly say that Hinduism alone teaches this teaching, that all the religions are true and all the religions are like different pathways taking us towards the same Godhead. So friends, without taking much time, I would like to very heartily thank Dr. Satish Kapoor ji, who has taken from his valuable time. He has agreed to come here and enlighten all of us regarding his book and his speech. You could have noted how erudite this person is. And if you really purchase this book and if you go through the book, you will get further evidence of how scholarly this person is. And as Tattvavidanji Maharaj has just now pointed out, if you look at the references, you will be simply amazed. At the course of editing this book, one of the things which really struck me very strongly was how much books this person has read. That is really surprising. But that is one of the strong points of this book. So, Satish Kapoorji, I once again very heartily thank you for accepting this our invitation and for having come here and for having shared your very wonderful views. Actually, I don't feel enough hearing you. I feel like hearing you more, this wonderful subject of Hinduism, which is so vast and so touching to our heart. I also thank Swami Suparnananji Maharaj for having helped us in conducting this program, because when we were discussing to hold this program, when this request was placed before him, immediately, readily he agreed, and he did everything possible to make this program a success. And I would also thank Swami Tattvavidanji Maharaj, who is the Adhyaksha of Advaita Ashram. Right from the beginning of this work of Hinduism, this faith eternal, with which I was involved, I got full support from him. And today also we have the honor of his presence here. And we have heard some wonderful things from Swamiji. Actually, I need not introduce him to you all, because he's a regular face on this dais. You all have heard his scholarly talks and scriptural teachings here, which often he comes and takes here classes. So friends, and also I extend my thanks to all of you, audience, for having come here and participated in this function. And before I say my final words, I would like to say that this book is available outside for sales. And today we are offering 25% discount on this book. And this book is also available online in the Amazon. And those who want to have the e-version of the book, that is also available in the Kindle. So those who are interested to go for the e-version, they can download it from the Kindle and or from the Amazon, or the book is available outside. And Dr. Satish Kapoorji, I would request you to, those who are interested to purchase this book and those who want to have his autograph, you all can just wait there outside, and Kapoorji would be autographing those books, those who are interested to purchase it. Thank you so much.